Thank you for joining me this afternoon, and we are reading from the Gospel of John, chapter 17. I left off in our last session reading verse 23, which is one of the most important verses in the Scriptures, I believe. Of course, there's so many, but this verse here, I want to read again to you today and just elaborate a little bit more what's being said here. This is, of course, the prayer of the Messiah, of the Mashiach, praying to the Father before he was to go and to pay the ultimate sacrifice of laying down his life for you and I. And it says in verse 23, he says, I in them and you in me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that you have sent me and has loved them as you have loved me. Every time I read that verse, I just the joy of Yahuwah rises up on the inside of me when I have the revelation and the understanding that the Creator of the universe, who came and gave of his Son, the Scripture says, for Yahuwah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. So it says, for Yahuwah so loved the world. And Yahushua right here says, Father, I pray that they would know and understand that you love them just as much as you love me. And the revelation of that, of that understanding, of knowing how much Yahuwah loves you and I, will not only just cause you to have more victory while you're here on the earth, because the Scripture says, perfect love casteth out fear, because fear has torment. If you get perfected in the knowledge of the love of Yahuwah, then you'll be able to, whatever fear that may try to come upon you, then you'll realize and recognize that, first of all, the fear is not from our Father. The Scripture says, Yahuwah has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. And you and I can resist Shaitan. We can resist the enemy. The Scripture says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Fear is from the enemy. It comes to cause you to cripple you, to put you in bondage. You know, there's a lot of people who are afraid of a lot of things, and that fear cripples them in their lives. But I'm here to declare to you that you don't have to live in fear, that Yahuwah has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. And if you would grow in the revelation and the understanding of the Scriptures of how much you're loved, then that fear of any fear that you have can be dealt with. You can resist it. You can rest assured that your Father has made provision. See, it's one thing to know that fear is not from Yahuwah, but it's another thing to know that there's provision in His Word for His children, those that have believed on the Mashiach, on the Messiah, those that know His name, know the power that's in His name, and know that there's certain promises, great and precious promises in His Word for His children. But see, you have to know that. Yahuwah said Himself, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. In other words, what's bringing destruction in your life and my life is because we don't know enough. We don't know, and not just a knowledge, head knowledge, but it's not we're not sufficient enough in the revelation knowledge of the truth of the word of Yahuwah as we need to be. But that's why I want to encourage you to grow in the knowledge of Yahushua HaMashiach, to grow in the knowledge of the Scriptures. And the more knowledge and understanding that you have, then the greater revelation that you have of the love of the Father. And as he says here, perfect love casts out fear. May these words encourage you today and comfort you. Share this with your friends, those that you know that need help, that say are living in a life of fear, that they can be delivered from fear. It's a spirit of darkness that tries to come upon you and cripple you and I, and to bring you in bondage. But we've been set free. Yahushua said, whom the Son has set free is free indeed. If you continue in my word, then are you my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth that you know will set you free. the truth of the word of Yahuwah, that you and I have not been given a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. And that if Yahuwah is for us, who can be against us? He that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? That's a powerful verse. You know, it says, if Yahuwah is for us, who can be against us? Well, there's a lot of people against us, but what it's talking about is who can be successfully against you and I. In other words, it doesn't matter who's against you and I. If Yahuwah is for us, he's going to put us over. We're going to come out ahead all the time. We're going to win every time. And it says that he that spared not his own son. In other words, if he was willing to give of his own son the cost and the price, can you imagine, if you have a child, can you imagine giving up your child, how much that would cost you in your love and your emotions and all the things that it would entail? So with that knowledge and understanding of that, he says that he that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? In other words, if he's willing to do that, he's willing to give us all things that we have need of. May these words encourage you today. Thank you. Shalom.